All right, welcome everyone. I'd like to call this meeting to order. Today is December 17th, 2024. This is the Finance Administration Committee and a special meeting of the Board of Directors of West Basin Municipal Water District. And with that, let's please determine if we have a quorum. EJ Caldwell, if you'll do roll call.
Happy to do so. Director Harold Williams.
Here.
Chairman Scott Houston.
Here.
Director Gloria Gray. Director Don Deere.
Here.
Director Desi Alvarez.
Here.
We have a quorum.
To public comment, is there anyone in the public wishing to speak?
Mr. Chairman, we have not received any requests for public comment, though this meeting is being held both in person and virtually. If there's any member of the public that would like to speak, please indicate so now by raising the virtual hand. Mr. Chairman, I do not see a request for public comment.
Okay, great, thank you. Item 4 to presentations. We have no presentations. Okay, item 5 is action calendar. So number 1 is the approval of minutes. EJ.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, this item 5.1, as you mentioned, is the approval of board minutes. And for this presentation, we have Desiree Quintero, our manager of administration.
Good morning, members of the committee and board. Approval of minutes can be found beginning on packet page 3. The minutes for the West Basin Municipal Water District Board of Directors meetings are an integral part of the public meeting process. Minutes provide a history of the actions taken at board meetings, which is informative not only for members of the public, but for other stakeholders as well. Minutes for the November 25th regular board meeting have been attached for consideration and can be found beginning on packet page 5. With that, I would like to read the recommendation that the board approve the November 25th, 2024 regular board meeting minutes.
Okay, very good. Thank you. Are there any questions on the minute? Ask Member Williams.
So thank you.
Any other director questions? Okay, so hearing none, I would recommend this goes forward with a yes for approval to the full board and Director Williams.
Concur.
Right, very good. Thank you. Okay, so 5.2, which is award of agreement for classification and compensation study.
Yes, thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. This item begins on packet page 11. The subject of the classification and compensation study were a significant part of our discussions during the budget because it was one of those items where a class and comp study had not been done for some time. It was included in the budget, and for this presentation, to kind of walk you through this effort, we do have Lisa Macenas-Fidelio, our Manager of Human Resources.
Thank you, EJ. Good afternoon, Chairman Houston and members of the board. I will be presenting agenda item 5.2, again, on board packet page 11. This is a recommendation for the undertaking of the classification and compensation study, a project that is both timely and critical to the success of West Basin Municipal Water District. Today, I will outline why the study is essential, the benefits it will deliver, and why Evergreen Solution LLC stands out as the ideal consultant to partner with us. Let me begin with the need. The last compensation study was conducted in September of 2018, over 6 years ago. Since then, labor market conditions, workforce dynamics, and organizational priorities have evolved significantly. The district must adapt to these changes to remain competitive and aligned with its strategic goals. Our strategic plan, specifically Strategy 2.9, commits to us managing and rewarding performance through regular evaluations, our job classifications, and compensation structure. This study ensures we meet our obligations to reassess every 5 years. With this update, we risk falling behind. Without this update, we risk falling behind in attracting and retaining top talent, maintaining pay equity, and ensuring our practices of transparent and legal compliance. This is not just about staying competitive; it's about being proactive in addressing workforce needs and securing the district's future success. This study will address 3 core areas: competitiveness in recruitment and retention, To attract and keep highly skilled professionals, we must offer compensation packages that align with industry and regional benchmarks. Equity and compliance, pay equity and transparency are fundamental to fostering trust within our organization, ensuring legal compliance. A study like this identifies and corrects any disparity in pay practices. Alignment with organizational goals. A well-structured classification and compensation system supports employee satisfaction, operational efficiencies, and long-term financial sustainability. The deliverables will include updated job classifications, market-aligned salary ranges, actionable recommendations for addressing equity, and a fiscally responsible implementation plan. So why are we choosing Evergreen Solutions? After issuing a request for a proposal, the district received 8 submissions from highly qualified firms. Each proposal was carefully evaluated based on such criteria as experience, methodology, timeline, and cost. Evergreen Solutions emerged as the top candidate, and here's why. Extensive experience. Evergreen has a proven track record of conducting classifications and compensation studies for public sector organizations, including agencies like ours. Robust methodology. Their approach is comprehensive, assessing both internal equity and external market competitiveness. This ensures their recommendations are grounded in both data and practicality. Actionable results. Evergreen is known for delivering recommendations that are clear, implementable, and aligned with organizational goals. In short, Evergreen Solution offers the expertise and value we need to ensure the study's success. The cost and timeline, the proposed agreement with Evergreen Solution is for the amount not to exceed $50,000. The cost is competitive within the industry and represents a prudent investment in the district's future. The study will begin in January 2025 with final recommendations delivered promptly to our timeline, which will probably be the end of June of 2025. So in conclusion, the classification and compensation study is vital to ensuring the district's continued success in attracting, retaining, and supporting a talented workforce. By selecting Evergreen LLC, we will partner with a consultant whose expertise, methodology, and proven track record make them the ideal choice for this project. Therefore, I respectfully recommend the board authorize the general manager to execute an agreement with Evergreen Solutions LLC in the amount to not exceed $50,000 to begin this critical study. Thank you for your time and consideration, and I'm happy to answer or address any questions.
Thank you very much. I'll go ahead and open up to any questions. Committee of the board members. Start with Director Williams as the member.
Thank you very much. I really don't have any questions. I'm waiting to hear from my colleagues. Thank you.
Very good. Other directors? Director Deere?
Sounds good.
Director Alvarez?
I do have a question. Can you go over the scope of work?
Scope of work?
It's not attached.
So the scope of work is basically the classification of job description. So they will analyze each classification within the district, their tasks in relations to what they do here, and then also the compensation study, which they will be tasked to reach out to different like agencies and compare the compensations to our positions here.
So what are the like agencies that we're looking at?
It would be MWD, MODOC, Irvine Ranch, Orange County Water District. It could be WRD. Yeah, the choices basically, they give us the choice of comparisons, but they also take a look at the outside agencies as well.
Lisa, if we can get a I apologize. Go ahead.
I think we need to be very careful on that because MWD and West Basin are not comparable agencies.
Correct. They typically will look at the size of the agency, what the job descriptions align, and then go from there as far as the comparative compensation.
And maybe more of the purpose of the respective agencies and the types of responsibilities that they have. And if I should request a copy of the scope of work, please.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, Director Deer.
No, Director Williams had his hand up.
Oh, sorry. It's hard to see from over here, you guys. Director Williams.
Thank you. Thank you very much. When I first got on the board a while back, I got introduced to the special districts folks. And little did I know that we, as special districts, very much involved with special districts, but we weren't really involved that much. So I was just wondering if we also look out to special districts as districts that are similar to the things that we do, and do we include them in our search?
When they do the comparisons, they actually do ask our opinion on who they're going to use as far as the competitiveness or the comparison. So we do have a say on who they use as far as special districts or water agencies. So we do have the final say before they start doing their full analysis on the agencies.
Thank you.
Mr. General Manager, were you going to say something?
Well, I was going to offer to get the directors that would like a copy of the scope of services. Secondly, I hear what President Alvarez is asking and inquiring about. I do not believe that the comparative agencies will be included in the scope of services. However, as Lisa just mentioned, we'll have some say as far as identifying those. And what I would offer is that we will make sure to have as best we can, like comparisons. We'll actually tap into, I think you were referring to the California Special Districts Associations, CSDA. We can look at that. And then, of course, we can make sure to include municipalities as well, because I do think that there's some crossover there. So we'll make sure that we have a pretty good list of agencies and municipalities to compare against.
No, I mean, I agree. Obviously, we want to make sure we're looking at other organizations of similar size, similar job descriptions, and I would certainly expect that our staff, should this get approved, could handle that by all means. You answered one of my questions, which is how long does it take, which sounds like it's about a 6-month process. Okay. And the other thing is, because we haven't done this in quite a while, we really don't have much of an assessment of what is happening, except for when you're just doing your normal job postings and the kinds of feedback you're getting from candidates. I mean, how are we doing this now?
So as mentioned, the last class and count was done in 2018. So we do have job descriptions from that. Obviously, some job descriptions have evolved due to conditions and so forth and so on. And so we're going to use that as our baseline and then figure out moving forward what is representative of today in that position, and kind of work through that with the managers and the staff to figure out each qualification and each level and position. And then also compare to the other like agencies or special districts to see if our qualifications, our job descriptions are similar to theirs in similar divisions and departments.
Well, number one, I fully support this. It is budgeted. This is within the budget. It's really interesting at the Aqua conference that just happened out in the desert. There was a really good panel talking about, how we advertise and you even look at job descriptions and so on and so forth for folks in the water world now, which so much has changed. And a lot of times too, we put a lot of upfront restrictions on people. Yes, a certain degree level or maybe a certain amount of experience. And so much of that, it sounds like, is starting to get thrown out the window a little bit. So separate but related, I really would like you all to look at that too in the long run, because what they were talking about was even the barriers to entry of people applying for public sector jobs. Because the old way is so bureaucratic, the long questionnaires, the this and that and the other. And if nothing else, you got to get them at least to apply. And then you could weed them out maybe on the back end. But, we can talk offline, but it was an excellent panel and there's some folks, in the region that work on this. But I think that all public agencies should really look at this because the job market's just changed so much.
It has, to be honest with you, it has changed quite a bit, especially with experience and background, years of experience versus education and so forth and so on. With some of the workshops that I have attended in regards to class and comps, that is something that they do look at is the experience versus education. Is it equal now? Is one better than the other? So it is a discussion to be had with the consultants moving forward in just the overall job descriptions and classifications moving forward for some of our positions here.
Yeah, so very good. Well, with that, I would like to recommend this goes forward to the board with a yes for approval. Director Williams.
Concur.
Thank you for that. Let's see. 5.3, which is adopt resolution number 12-24-2019, Administrative Code Revisions Part 3, Human Resources. EJ, if you'll take that away, and also I see Director Gray, I believe, has joined us.
Thank you. Can you?
Yeah, we hear you. Go ahead, EJ.
All right, thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. This next item begins on packet page 19. As you mentioned, 5.3 is to adopt a resolution number 12-24-1219, Administrative Code Revisions, Part 3, Human Resources. And I'll begin this item. We do have our Manager of Human Resources here to assist us with any questions, but I hope to be able to summarize and paint the picture of our current situation and then make our recommendation. West Basin internally has a team or a committee amongst staff where we review the admin code with regularity, bringing forth recommendations to the committee and board annually. In January of 2024, this committee did that and proposed some changes to the admin code, one of which was improperly presented to the board of directors, as it was implied that it was the changes that were being recommended were related to coming into compliance with state law. It should not have been stated that way. For that, I apologize. I would say that we've always been in compliance with state law, specifically as it relates to this provision. Well, one of the recommendations actually changed the way West Basin manages and accounts for sick time. And what it did ultimately was remove a benefit from staff that I do not believe was intended by the board of directors. And as I mentioned, I believe it was due to an error made by management. So with that, I would present to you that prior to that action in 2024, the West Basin managed and accounted for sick time, allowed for any staff member that had accrued 960 hours, which is our limit. Anybody that had accrued beyond that in any annual year was paid out for that sick time. This is an aspirational benefit and goal of staff. Obviously, if people can work and are healthy enough to work, we want them to work. Now that you have the virtual work capability, we regularly have people that stay home because maybe they have a cough and potential symptoms, but continue to work, and we want to honor that. The change in 2024 actually set that cap, and then of course you would not accrue sick time beyond that point. And so what I've asked our human resources manager to do is present a resolution that would simply undo that change. It's important to note that when we talk about this benefit of beyond 960 hours, that the only way you can even come close to that is if you've worked for the West Basin Municipal Water District for more than 10 years. It takes 10 years to obtain that level of, or the amount of sick time. And then of course you need to go beyond that. And you can only go beyond that by 96 hours. That would mean that once you hit that limit, you need to go a full year, to accrue additional sick time. And so you're talking about a staff member that could potentially benefit by that additional 96 hours. Now, West Basin Municipal Water District has 52 positions. There are only 10 people at the district that have attained that 10 years and could potentially get that 960 hours or above. With all transparency, I am one of those. At the time of this change, I felt that it was okay to do, as I thought I was the only one. But unfortunately, this change in the admin code does impact staff and potentially future staff that could obtain this benefit. So with that, if you look at packet page 21, you can see that we have provided a red line copy of the admin code. You can see that what we're trying to do or what we're recommending to the committee and board is to simply revert back to what was intended back in 2023. And so with that, staff recommends that the board approve, adopt, and authorize the president to sign resolution number 12241219, a resolution of the Board of Directors of the West Basin Municipal Water District, amending the West Basin Municipal Water District Administrative Code, section 3-4.401. So with that, Mr. Chairman, I'm happy to answer any questions that you have.
Great. Thank you, EJ. Any questions? Again, I'll start with Director Williams.
Yeah, to the general manager, this is it. This is good.
I believe it is good. And again, I think it is in line with what the intent of the Board of Directors was at that time. Again, I look at this as an error on management's part. And so we're coming back to you to correct that.
Very good. Thank you.
Any other questions? Director Gray, any questions?
No, thank you.
And I think my only question would be, obviously, legal counsel is also good with this, correct? So I think that we should go ahead and move this forward for approval by the full board and Director Williams.
I concur.
Thank you. Thank you, EJ.
Thank you.
Let's see, item 6 is our information. So 6.1 is fiscal year 2024 annual audit result and annual comprehensive financial report. So EJ, if you'll please introduce that.
Yes, thank you very much. And we are lucky enough to have our Chief Financial Officer, Wendy Nakamura, here for this presentation, along with Scott Mono from Rogers, Anderson, Malady, and Scott. Is that correct? And this item does begin on packet page 24.
Good afternoon, directors. This item will provide an update on West Basin FY24 annual financial audit, and then the completion of the annual financial report. I also invited Scott from our auditing firm. He will be providing presentation and then give the board the details about the audit process after my presentation. Government Code Section 53891 require local agency to submitting the annual financial report to the state controller's office. To complete this report, West Basin needed to conduct the annual financial audit. We were using the data from annual financial audit to complete the state controller's report. The financial audit for FY24 was completed. The staff member from finance department also completed the annual comprehensive report. We including this report in your package starting from page 26 to page 180. So for the annual financial report, there is 3 major sections, including in this report. The first section, including the introduction, basically all the director's pictures is in the section 1. We're providing general information about the West Basin to the public. Section number 2, including independent auditor's report, management discussion, and then the notes to the financial statement. Section number 3 of the report, including 10 years history of West Basin water sales, water purchase, our population, the economy in our service area. Under section 2 of the annual comprehensive report, there are some major financial activity for FY24. The first one I want to mention is our imported water sales last year was 159 million. Our purchasing cost is 131 million, resulting in the potable water sales, we have a net revenue of 28 million. For our recycling water sales, we sold 39 million, and our cost is 57 million, resulting in a net loss of 18 million. As we all know, standby charges is going to be eliminated in 2030. West Basin, we sold in FY24, we sold our desalter to WRD. So that is already concluded. Our debt coverage for FY24 ended up with 1.32. We budgeted at 1.49 because our expectation is to sell 95,000 acre feet of potable water. In reality, we only sold 83,000. Finance department will submitting this report to Government Finance Officer Association for the award of excellence in financial reporting. West Basin has been receiving this reward since 2006. So this is the conclude of my report. I will turn to Scott, and Scott will giving a presentation about the details of the financial audit. Let's start on page 158.
Okay, thank you, Wendy. My name's Scott Mann. I'm a partner at Rogers, Anderson, Malady, and Scott. We're the auditor for the financial statements. I'm going to go over real high level, kind of what an audit, what we do, and responsibilities of all the parties involved. My responsibilities as the auditor are to audit the district's financial statements in accordance with U.S. generally accepted auditing standards and the state controller's minimum audit requirements. Our job is to plan the audit, to express an opinion as to whether the financial statements are free of material misstatement and they are in compliance with generally accepted accounting principles. One thing we do like to emphasize is that these are management's financial statements. I claim 4 pages in this whole document. Everything else is management's representations. Pages 1, 2, 3, and 4 in the actual document, those are mine. That's my audit report. Everything else is management's. And we provide reasonable assurance, not absolute assurance. Reasonable assurance is a high level of assurance, but it's not absolute. If we provided absolute assurance, we would literally have to sit here and look at every transaction that went through the organization, and obviously that's not feasible. And the objective, we did provide an unmodified opinion on the financial statements, which is a clean opinion, so we'll be glad to hear that. The audit process, what we do is typically we divide this into 2 pieces. We have an interim piece and a year-end piece. The interim piece is we come in, go over the processes and controls over cash disbursements, payroll, investments, cash receipts, and then we gain that understanding and we test controls as needed. And then, like I said, we had disbursement testing, contracts testing, and payroll testing. And then we have what we call the year-end audit, and that's when we actually audit the numbers. That's when we come in, Wendy says we have $10 billion in cash. I say, prove it. So she proves it by providing us bank reconciliations, bank statements. Then we confirm the cash balances with outside parties. And then during that process, we're looking at various documents, cash receipts, disbursements, to get a grasp on what the district has done in order to provide that opinion on the financial statements. In addition, we read the minutes of the board see if there's any litigation or anything going on that we can see, or looking at contracts that were awarded through the board process as well. And then we assist management in the preparation of the statements. Again, they're not our statements, but we do help prepare the statements. Let's see here, the significant changes from the prior year. There's GASB 101 or GASB 100, I'm sorry, was issued. I don't think it had a real impact on the district. It dealt with accounting changes and error corrections. So that was kind of a lull in the GASB's issuing of standards, and it was kind of a fairly straightforward one, unlike the leases and the technology arrangements that came out a couple of years ago. Independent auditors report, like I said, we issued an unmodified opinion. And then we do issue two separate other reports. One is on the government accounting required by the Yellow Book, governmental auditing standards. And it would include a report on the schedule and expenditures of federal awards, but I don't think we have a single audit this year, correct?
No.
Okay. A single audit is a separate audit engagement that deals with federal expenditures. You have to reach a certain threshold before that kicks in, and you didn't have that this year. And included in there is in the packet is the SAS 114 letter, those charged with governance. It's a letter to you. We work for governance. We don't work for management. We work for governance. We had no uncorrected misstatements to report. These are kind of the highlights of this. There are no uncorrected misstatements, no difficulties working with the district, and no disagreements with the district. And then in the report on internal control, we did have one issue that was rectified immediately after it was found, or maybe not immediately, but after it was discussed with staff. It was found, it was taken care of. That is also in the report as well. And then this is a little bit about us. The first time we've ever met, so. The firm was established in 1948, approximately between 35 and 40 employees at any given time of the year. 35% male, 65% female, which is a change in public accounting. Back in the day, it was a lot of dudes. Now we've really split off like that. There are currently 6 partners, 4 female, 2 male, 5 managers, and the rest are staff and support staff. We provide auditing services for over 70 government agencies, nonprofits. We do special districts, cities, like I said, nonprofits as well. We are a part of, heavily involved in our industry, GFOA, CSBA, which was mentioned earlier, the California Society of Municipal Finance Officers, the CalCPA. We're heavily involved in those, trying to get people to come into the industry, because we are at a point where more people are leaving the industry that are coming in, and it's quite a challenge. And I think a lot of the cities and municipalities that we work with are also dealing with that same challenge of being able to bring in people to actually do the work. With we've had a lot of retirements in this industry, so it has been a challenge. Let's see. We have a partner that's an accounting professor at one of the schools. We work with the college. We work with Cal State San Bernardino very closely. That's one of our hiring. One of our places of hiring that we really try to look at. And most of our hires are incoming graduates. So, going back to the trying to figure out experience, most of ours are graduates. And any questions? I'll be more than happy to.
All right, well, thank you very much for the report, and I will open it up to questions, and I'll start with Member Williams.
So I'll wait.
Thank you. Other directors, Director Deere.
Wait.
Director Gray, I think, is not here anymore. Let's see, Director Alvarez.
I don't have any questions right now. Thank you.
Let's see, I think I just had the one question, which, there was this one issue reported, and I guess if you could tell us where in the report that is so we can look it up, but at the same time, you can tell us what was the issue.
146 of the packet.
Page 146, okay.
Yeah, what it was, basically it was approving the bank regs, if I'm not mistaken. And it's not that they weren't approved, it's that we could not tell if they were actually approved.
Hmm.
There was no physical sign off. And, if an audit was just, oh yeah, that's what it is, and we just said, okay, well, that'd be easy. But we actually need some sort of physical evidence, even if it's an email saying, yes, I reviewed the October 31st bank rec. And then you keep that, save it, because we have to have some sort of evidence to show that, yes, that was reviewed. And that's what it was. And they fixed it, and I'm not sure how you guys fixed it.
Yeah, so what that, if I can, providing more details is, in January, from January 2024 to June 2024, as finance department is the short staff. We didn't hire the accounting supervisor until the late June, right? So for a period of time, I did the work myself, and then I reviewed my own work. And then, the auditor did auditing all my work, which is 100% correct, but there's no evidence of second person actually look into my work. So that is the recommendation to say, we always need for internal control, there's always supposed to be a second eye to review other people's work. And then our response to how to improve in the future is since the hire of county supervisor Stephanie doing the work and I review her work. Yeah.
Yeah, and I remember, yes, competition, vacancy, et cetera, but also the fact that when things are brought to our attention, we remedy that really quick. And it's good to see that this apparently was the only issue this time we've had. And over the years, as I recall, we've had very few issues. I mean, usually just like probably under 5 per year, give or take, whatever they were. They're almost all incremental or tiny, and staff has always fixed or adjusted what's been brought to their attention. So I do have confidence in that, but thank you for the explanation. Now, Director Williams, anybody have questions, comments? Anything else?
No, thank you.
Director Gray, she's back. Okay. This is the last call. Anybody have questions? Yes.
Asking.
Go ahead, Director Williams.
I noticed a lot of our people here in special districts and other municipalities have trouble recruiting. And at the same time, there are a lot of folks who are retiring. And I recall back in the day, when I was recruited, that was a long time ago, of course, but we're looking for engineers, young guys, us guys. And some firms went out back then and recruited for the engineers that they wanted in the area of what do they call it again? Contract city engineer. And I don't see many people here, but here's a firm back in the thrilling days of yesteryear called Wildan. Still around. Now, I was recruited by Wildan to come to work for Wildan in the contract city engineers thing, and then grow up and become city engineer. I did that, believe it or not, but I don't see much of that anymore. And I don't see that other firms that are into places where special districts hang out. See, I was wondering, that seems like a good place to recruit, and they're from the state universities. Why aren't we doing that still?
Who's the question for me?
For you. I don't.
You know where they are, right?
Director Williams, I may chime in here. West Basin has had a long history of involvement with the Government Finance Officers Association. I think it was briefly mentioned earlier. In fact, one of our former employees, Margaret Moja, I believe, is the current interim executive director of GFOA.
CSFMO.
What was it?
I'm sorry, she's California Society of Municipal.
Oh, okay. I apologize. I knew it was one. But so there are, just similar to how we would go about recruiting an engineer and tapping into those resources. And I actually had a chance to go to the event the other day for CCEA.
Oh, thank you.
There are tons of great organizations that allow us access to recruit. And so that's kind of how we go about doing that. And we will be, I'll mention this tomorrow at our board meeting. But we do have our retiring staff member, and so we are in the process of recruiting as well. And so these organizations are excellent opportunities for us to tap in and find great talent.
If I could say something, there is one of my partners, one of our retired partners went to a meeting for contract cities. So I think that's what it's called, the contract cities. It's all cities that have contract departments. And they all go up and I think they met up in Monterey or something. So there are events like that where you can, if you wanted to go out and go that route, that you have that.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, Director Jeter.
how do we compare in salaries with the other special districts and water districts in Southern California?
Off the top of my head, I probably, we come in, we go, she might have a better.
As far as competitiveness, we are, again, we try to align ourselves with the other agencies within our industry. And we are right in the middle of the road when it comes to salaries. Hence why the class and comp study is important, so that we are aligned with other agencies, that we are competitive. Right now, we're probably still in the running of being in the middle. But again, with this class and comp, it will give us a more significant evaluation to see if we are still competitive or we're falling behind, or if we're good where we're at. So hence this is why the class and comp is very important to the agency, to make sure that we are competitive and keep moving forward with whatever's happening in our industry as far as job competition and the task in itself with the positions. Answer your question.
I hope in the future that we'll hear, if you go to a job fair at a university or a junior college or something like that, that you'll hear about special districts and water districts rather than just where we are. Exciting things like aerospace. That's what we hear more about in the South Bay. I don't, because I got, and that was back in the day, I got recruited from the folks who didn't want to, weren't interested in what we do. They were more interested in aerospace, and it's still like that. Aerospace is still sexy ones.
Just to piggyback off your comment, HR has been tasked within the last year or so to go out and spread the word about the water industry. We've been working very closely with our public information department as far as tapping into some of the universities. We've done job fairs or career fairs, so to speak, at USC, CLA, Dominguez. We went out to El Camino. So we are starting to reach out further and getting into the schools and starting to represent West Basin at these universities and state schools so that they are aware of the water and agency. Our goal is to make sure that all the local community colleges, as well as the universities in the Cal States, are aware of who we are, what we do, and how we can progress moving forward. We also have kind of an initiative starting to start working with high school kids as well to get the word out. So we are trying our best to push out that net and get that information out to all the students so we can make water sexy opposed to aerospace.
Pretty good. We need that. Thank you.
Okay, very good. Any other questions on this? Hearing, thank you. And yes, we've talked about that quite a bit the last 2 years, and we'll keep talking about it. And of course, at a future meeting at some point, we'll have more discussion on that specifically. One last question I have actually, because I see in here, I guess this is the draft of the 2024 financial report, right?
That is the final.
This is the final.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So when will this get like published and found and what have you?
Well, we already had a hard copy. If, we can send to directors if you prefer
Or,
hard.
or physical? I'll take a physical copy. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
Oh, no email.
Okay.
Too big. It'll be like, my inbox will be like, blowing up. But anyway, yeah. Okay, so with that, I want to say thank you, and thank you, Scott, for being here. We really appreciate it. We are going to move forward with the next, which I think is our final item, right, EJ?
That is correct.
Okay, it's item 6.2. It's our monthly financial report. Go ahead, EJ.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. This item begins on packet page 169. And for this presentation, we have Stephanie Clemente Finley, our company school.
Okay, good afternoon, committee chair and members and staff. As required by West Basin Municipal Water District Administration Code, internal reporting, staff is required to submit to various financial reports to the Board of Directors to keep them apprised of the financial conditions and future needs of the district. So these reports that we'll be reporting will start on page 171, which we will start off with our monthly demands list for the month of November 30th, 2024. And that goes on to page 175. The total disbursements for the month of November is 20 million, 0.5. 60% of the disbursement is the Met bill, which is at 12.4 million. And are there any questions in regards to the demands list?
Any question? Go ahead.
Very good. So let's move on to our cash and investments report, which starts on page 177. And for the month of November, we have 59.5 million. And as you can see, the various security types there, as well as the pie graph. In page 178, we have the market value, not market value, the credit quality distribution for the month of November versus October. And then finally, we have the maturity distribution on page 179. Moving along is our water monthly water sale on page 180. We budgeted for imported retail 80,000 acre feet. And so for the month of November, we have 6,651 acre feet with a year-to-date of 39,950. We are below budget, or we are above budget but we are below last year's financials or last year's acre fee. Moving below, we have the imported barrier. Our budget is 6,000 acre fee. For the month of November, we are at 772. Year to date, 3,800. And we are above last year as well as budget. And page 181, we have recycled water. For the month of November, we have 2,735 acre feet with a year-to-date of 13,891. We are below last year as well as budget. And then below that, we do have the barrier refineries and disinfected tertiary. Total for the month of November is 2,735. We are above last year as well as budget. And then for year to date, we are below with 13,891. So we are below budget as well as last year. Are there any questions in regards to the water sales?
Any question?
Well, thank you.
And then the last two,
Director Albert.
So water sales are down not because of demand, but because of production.
Talk about recycled water sales.
recycled water. So recycled water, what do we have on recycled water? So we are at, so we are down. No, for November, we are up. So we are up before, we are above last year as well as budget
For
for
November.
November.
In whole, we're just,
For November, but overall.
Yes.
we're
Correct.
below on budget. So the reason it's not demand, but production. Just clarification.
That is-
Why are we under budget?
We've had a couple of shutdowns. We did have a couple of power outages. And then, of course, I forgot, it was 2 months ago, we had an issue where we had a shutdown as well. And so if you look at the first few months of the fiscal year, I think we were impacted there, as well as maybe a little bit of the JMM and the use of potable water at Marathon. And I think Torrance Refinery as well. But we shouldn't have a decrease in demand with a minor exception of some outdoor irrigation. We are seeing that the message of conserving has been maintained. You rarely see any of those outdoor irrigated fields being watered more than once or twice a week. So that demand is down a little bit, but that wouldn't impact or have a significant impact as far as our sales go.
Just kind of nice to know what the reason for the lower sales in recycled water.
We can provide additional details at E&O, and Eric, I don't know if you have anything to add.
Yeah, the majority of our production is, of course, for the barrier system, Director. We have been a little delayed in installing the last 3 racks of microfiltration that will allow us to drive that barrier production up to potentially as high as our obligation. We found some fouling that we've been investigating over the last couple of months that prevented us from wanting to put brand new membrane into that same fouling condition. But I understand from staff that we're getting our hands around that. Through that investigation, I would add that we've been able to actually reduce our ferric dosing cost associated with the barrier production, which has been great. But also we expect probably first quarter to go ahead and install that microfiltration membrane, which will allow us to drive that barrier production up. And of course, just as a reminder, our barrier capacity is probably 1/3 to 50% of our total recycled water consumption. So any reduction there, of course, impacts the entirety.
Thank you.
excuse me. Any other question? Director Gray, do you have a question?
No, I don't. Thank you, though.
Let's see. So if you'll finish.
So on page 182, we do have the Director of Conference and Travel. Total spent is 15,000. Annual budget 75, remaining balance 59,000. And then on page 183, we have the executive management and staff travel. Total spend 39,000, remaining balance 61,000 of the annual budget of 101. And that completes my report. You have any questions? Please let me know. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Just want to check, does anybody have any questions on the financial report? Thank you. Okay, very good. Any questions, Director Gray? Okay, all right, we'll go ahead and move on. Item 7 is closed session, but we have no closed session today. Director's comments and future agenda items. Anybody have a comment? Future agenda item. Okay, so hearing none, I just want to say thank you to all of our staff on all of this, as well as some good discussion points. And I have no future agenda items at this moment, so we have a date for the next meeting, which is January 21st. January 21st of 2025. And so with that, we're adjourned.
Thank you very much, everyone.